Rebecca Knoll from the Chamber of Mines and Energy, thanks for joining us on Flow today.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky, for the opportunity.
Well, we know that this week you've been talking close to the state election about the mining industry's concerns about what a future government might do about land access. What exactly are these concerns?
Okay, our concerns are that political representatives may trade away and take away our stable operation of one of the state's most significant economic sectors for political convenience. And by that I mean it's going to be a close election. It is going to be dependent on negotiations with independents, and we're well aware that there are a couple of key independents whose views around land access differ from ours.
Yeah, and I was hosting an election forum at Maitland in the seat of Narungga, and the land access issue came up. And Fraser Ellis, one of those MPs I think you've mentioned before, has got a strong view about that. But they talked about the Rex Minerals proposal, for instance. It's ticked all of its boxes, but still farmers there are frustrated about the possibility that what they call prime agricultural land would be mined upon in an open cut fashion.
Yes, and Fraser Ellis has declared his support to form government will depend on implementing recommendations from the Select Committee inquiry on land access, which he was a part of and which MP Geoff Brock initiated. The Rex project has ticked all its boxes, as you're saying, and it's a well-advanced project. And it's not correct to say that all farmers are in opposition to that. That's not the case at all. And I'd encourage you to speak directly to someone from Rex so that they can give you an up-to-date view on landowner support for that project, of which there is a lot. So that we are aware that there's a very small minority over on the Yorke Peninsula who have been agitating about that project for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm just saying that one of the farmers that asked a question from the floor at the forum made that point. I don't know every farmer in the district, but one of them was also saying that they just expressed the view that you might want to address it when they say, well, why can't all the mining happen up in the outback where farming's more marginal and leave prime agricultural land alone?
Well, it would also, the question that you'd beg to ask there is, can we all rely on a world that's not fuelled by technology? So as long as the world wants electric vehicles, mobile phones and technology, which is what we're all wanting, then we need to look for copper, of which Rex Minerals is seeking to exploit there. We need copper, and not all of our copper reserves are located in the far north of our state.
And when it comes to even these rare earths that are being talked about for battery technology, we hear that quite a bit of that is in what some would call prime agricultural land. Is it not viable to do that in a sort of underground mining fashion? It really has to be done in an open cut method?
The method of extraction is completely dependent on the ore body itself. So some ore bodies, like Oz Minerals' Carrapateena operation, lends itself to an underground operation because it exists significantly below surface, and we've got the same issue at Roxby Downs. And in fact, that's one of the great big problems in South Australia is the amount of cover. We have up to 1 kilometre of cover over some of our mineral deposits. So it absolutely depends on the type of mineral that you're extracting, but also on the deposit itself. So it's not a blanket, everything can be done as an underground operation because it's simply not viable for some mineral deposits.
Is there a clear sort of safety challenge or difference between below ground mining versus open cut? Is it just much safer to do it open cut?
No, look, an operation will choose the most safe method, of course, and safety is of primacy in our sector. It's just a different style of extraction depending on where the mineral deposit sits. So obviously if your mineral deposit is sitting 1 kilometre below surface, then it makes no sense to do an open cut because you'd have a massive, massive hole in the ground. However, if your deposit is closer to surface, then the cost of putting in an underground infrastructure would exceed the cost of the commodity. So you would, in that situation, you would do an open cut.
Yeah, and just lastly, the Chamber of Mines and Energy has described, the recommendations of the inquiry, if I'm phrasing this rightly, as a proxy moratorium that neither major party's really taken a strong position on. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And neither party has taken a strong position because we know that that they're wanting to form majority government. We need stable land access frameworks. They're absolutely critical for our sector. This is a sector where it takes a significant amount of time to bring a project to fruition. And the Rex Minerals project is an example of that. But on average, it takes 14 years from the point of finding a deposit to actually mining a deposit. So we work with very long time frames, and it's really important that we have stable frameworks to work with. We've been really clear in our rejection of the landowner right to veto and any new moratoria. It is, as you say, one of our election calls. We've also been very clear that moratoria should not be used as a political bargaining chip during an election period, as it directly affects the stability of our sector. Now, we saw this in 2018, ahead of the 2018 election, where a deal was done with Troy Bell down in the southeast, and we've ended up with a 10-year fracking moratorium, unconventional fracking moratoria. It's just not a great way to plan a plan for the most stable operation of one of the state's most significant economic sectors. So when our sector is doing well, the rest of the state is doing well, but to use political convenience and trade that away is really not a position that we support, and we're absolutely encouraging political representatives to push back on their populist instincts and recognise that the economic growth and state development will only come through stable and consistent frameworks. The mineral rights belong to the Crown. They're held on behalf of the community, and we don't think individual politicians should be holding those rights to ransom for their own political benefit. I mean, these minerals belong to you, they belong to me, they belong to everybody that's listening on this program today. So why should they be traded away for Fraser Ellis to get an outcome that he's seeking politically? We've got a really well-developed legal frameworks in this state. We have got a Mining Act. It's recently been amended. It was a very long 4-year process of legislative review. We had a huge amount of input from all sides. It was a very measured and considered process. But within a month of that Mining Act being installed as a new act, within a month we had Geoff Brock calling for an inquiry, a parliamentary inquiry into land access. So with this stable framework has resulted from massive effort, and it's absolutely under threat of being traded away for political convenience.
Well, it's a hot topic across regional SA, not just for those that are in those grain-growing regions, but for our listeners in Roxby Downs and places like that they wouldn't be there if it wasn't a mining industry. So we appreciate the Mining Chamber of Mines and Energy's input on that important topic going into an election on the 19th of March. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Ricky. Lovely to speak with you.